Else. I made a setup that has a kind of fanciful quality about it. I wanted to make it like a landscape, so I have this yellow petal pinned to the wall to operate kind of as sunlight, and then I wanted to make sure I had big forms and then little tiny forms so that it felt like it had some distance to it. The first thing I want you to understand is how to measure using your pencil. You need to keep the pencil perpendicular to the floor. Don't point it to your still life, and you're going to turn it using your wrist, again like a windshield wiper blade, and you're taking an angle between one part of the still life to another part of the still life. You can also use the pencil to take increments. So right now I'm measuring, say, 5 or 6 units high. Here's an example of how I might imagine taking an angle measurement using the upper part, the sun I'll call it, and hitting different points of the still life so that it operates where I have the entire form of the still life mapped out. Once I get to my page, you'll notice that I'm taking angle measurements. I'm trying to hold my pencil and my shoulder up to my eye level. I'm making big, long marks. I'm sort of thinking about this as a map. I'm looking at where the things at the perimeter fall so I can imagine that everything will be incorporated within my piece of paper. I won't be leaving something out. I'm using angles to kind of make a triangulation where everything will be visible. So this is the first stage of the drawing, and you can see it's just a series of lines, but they all mean something. They frequently start with the upper part of the drawing that has the yellow flower in it, and I took angle or axial lines to measure individual things that I found that it corresponded to. And in this way I can see where everything is, and I have a feeling of where things will be on the page. Once I've laid out the larger shapes that all the objects together make, I'm still continuing to measure. I'm using my eraser a lot, and at this stage of the drawing, and almost really any stage of the drawing, everything is up for grabs. It's all provisional. I don't feel like I have to get everything right. In fact, I know that in order to get things right, I have to move things many times to see them in relationship to one form to another. Also, another thing to note is how many times I'm holding my pencil out to take an angle measurement and then to draw. You never think about measuring as being one thing and drawing is another. It takes some practice to learn how to incorporate the two so that it becomes very automatic. You're taking kind of a glance at what your pencil is showing you of an angle between two things, and then you measure it and you decide, oh, that's not the right angle, let me change it a little bit. Once you get the big shapes down, you can see that you can slow down a little bit. This has a bit more to do with when we were working with blind contour drawing, where your pencil is following the outer line of the contour of the shape of the object that you're drawing. You can draw this way because you can be pretty confident that the object that you're drawing is in the right place. And you may still have to erase it like I am now. Part of it is always going to be a little bit off. And to have a sense that drawing is a very, very elastic experience, meaning that it's not getting it right or getting it wrong. It's being engaged with the process of seeing, correcting, changing, modifying, amending, and sometimes after you've worked on something for even quite a while, it still may not be right and you have to erase it. So one thing that I can show you here is that I continue to go back and forth over things I've already drawn, make sure that that horizontal line is in the right place. The thing besides taking angle measurements is the negative space between objects. Those are very specific shapes, and easy to see at a glance whether your drawing has the correct negative space between objects. And just continuing to make amendments and changes as you move through the process, as you know where things are and you can be a little bit more confident about it. You can spend a little bit more time getting more particularity. You're checking the angles, not just between things, but of the objects themselves. This is the last part of the drawing. I had to make still many big changes, but now again, it has more to do with making a contour line drawing, which looks very simple, but as you can see from the process, it really has a lot of steps to accomplish.